What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Ignore my terrible transmog. I apologize in advance for how bad this is. Let's talk about Elemental Shaman today. I want to talk about the single target, a little single target build that I have cooked up here. And I want to talk about the changes to Further Beyond, which were announced a couple of days ago on the patch notes. We'll get to that in a second. And we'll talk about all the different changes. I think that I've been waiting to do an Ele Shaman video on just single target for like a couple of days because the changes came out, and I was about to do a video literally the day that these changes to Further Beyond came out. So I kind of paused that video, and now I'm going to do one now. So let's look at the actual news article from Wowhead. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit. Elemental Shaman changes. First of all, they fixed an issue where chain lightning and lightning bolt were incorrectly highlighted after casting P-Wave. That's actually cool. Good for newer players who don't know what they're doing, and they're like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to press this, and you're not. Splintered Elements gives you 20% base extra haste now, and then an additional 4 per target. I talked about this a little bit in my AoE video, but I'm going to talk about it much more now in the single target video because this is a huge buff to our single target. Like, our prospects have taken this in single target, which you never would have taken this in single target before, and you probably will now, actually. Further Beyond can now only increase the duration of Further Beyond by up to 150% of the original duration of Ascendance. This is the biggest change that we're talking about. You can no longer go infinite on Ascendance on a raid boss fight, which is what people were doing on the PTR. They go into the raid boss fight, and they'd have Ascendance up for, like, 4 minutes, like the entire fight. And, you can no longer do that. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Primordial Wave can no longer be used to heal a friendly target. Now it's only an offensive spell. This is entirely, I think, for mouse over macros. And then also, somebody was saying in my comments about casting Primordial Wave like before a fight, and then having the most of the cooldown come back kind of thing, and then like double procking on pull, getting like a double proc. Anyway, so anyway, I think it's mostly for the mouse over stuff, so you don't mess it up, but it's not a really big deal. Now, the tier set bonus also got changed a little bit, and we talked about the second portion of this in my AoE build, sorry. So you no longer have to cast Chain Lightning and then into Lava Burst anymore. But what we want to talk about for this single target video here today is this change. Lava Burst burns your target for 15% additional damage over 4 seconds. This used to be 25%. It used to be 25% of Lava Burst damage. Now it's down to 15%. That is effectively a 60% nerf on the burn that you get from casting Lava Burst on a single target. Now, it's actually not that big of a deal in single target. We are still getting a lot of damage out of Molten Slag. That's the dot right there. 9% of my damage was just the Molten Slag damage there. So it's actually fine. It is a 60% reduction just in that, but it's really not that big of a deal, in my opinion. It's going to be fine. Your damage is still going to be okay. All of your damage is not coming from the tier set bonus, so don't worry about that. Now, what does this kind of mean for a single target build for Ele Shaman, and especially for Further Beyond? The math on this, just so you understand how this works. The base duration of Ascendance is 15 seconds, okay? Right there, 15 seconds. Now, 150% of 15 is 22.5 seconds. So now, if you look at the bottom of this tooltip, Ascendance can only be extended up to 150% of its original duration. So 15 seconds is the original. You can extend it 150% of 15, 22.5. We put those together. You get 37.5 seconds on your Ascendance window now. That's how long you can have Ascendance up for. Now, that's not the same as 4 or 5 minutes, so that's obviously a nerf. But if you think about this realistically, practically speaking, in a real raid boss fight, you're not going to have 4 minutes to just sit and throw Lava Burst and Ele Blast at the boss. You're just not going to be able to do that. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Every raid boss fight has intermissions. They have pauses where the boss goes immune. What are you going to do when the boss is immune? You can't do any damage. You can't proc your Further Beyond to keep going. There's moments when you have to move for big mechanics. There are moments when you have to, like, all run together to soak a big circle. And you're going to have to make sure you time your things like Spearwalker's Grace. Like, there's ways to play this so that it's really good. But realistically speaking, you are not going to have enormous amounts of time, like 40, 50 seconds, 2 minutes, 4 minutes of just uptime being able to press Lava Burst, Ele Blast, Lava Burst, Ele Blast, and just extend this forever. That's never going to happen. So the initial idea of Further Beyond, it's actually fine, I think, that Blizzard nerfed this and said, hey, you can only have it up for 37.5 seconds. That's a long time on a raid boss fight to have your cooldown rolling. 37 seconds? That's probably also never going to happen. I bet you're going to do this, and you will almost never be able to get to a full 37-second extension on Ascendance in a raid boss fight. I would say that that's very unlikely to happen because there's just mechanics that are happening. Yeah, if you're on an LFR or normal, maybe. But once you get to like heroic and mythic level fights, there is so much going on that you need to be paying attention to. I just don't think it's realistic to say. So I don't think this is a nerf in the sense that like we're losing direct power, because I don't think you're ever going to get an Ascendance proc that's really going to go further than 37 seconds. Sure, it's an actual nerf, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think that it's going to really matter that much. I still think it's worth taking Further Beyond in single target. And I'll show you my build in a second here. I think it's actually totally worth taking this talent. Now, the other big one is Splintered Elements. This is a huge buff to single target. This used to say Primordial Wave grants you 10% haste per target that you hit with the Lightning Bolt, or sorry, the Lava Burst. I'm thinking Enhancement Shaman. You spread your flame shocks around, you send out all the meatballs, you get 10% haste per flame shock up to 6. So 60% haste was the highest you could get. Now it's 20% for one target and then 4% for additional. So it's a nerf on AoE. You can only really get up to, I believe, 44% additional. Like 44% I think is the max you can get now versus 60%. So that's a nerf on AoE. But having 20% haste on a single target instead of 10, it literally doubled in value for a single target build. This is really strong. Now, I think like I was defaulting to Primordial Surge on single target because the 10% haste wasn't really good enough. But 20% haste, that's pretty good. And I would consider this in your single target builds now. I think this is realistically a good talent to take for that single target. Just having, you're gonna have a lot of uptime on Primordial Wave, right? Even in single target, this is a 45-second cooldown. It's really more like a 15 to 18-second cooldown if you're playing it really well, and that means that you're gonna have a lot of uptime. Sorry, on this 20% haste buff here. So here's the build that I have kind of cooked up for single target. Now, this is what I just did on a testing dummy, 128k overall. This is without Lust. It's without any, an Augmentation Evoker. It's without raid buffs. It's without anything else. I didn't even Lust here. So just please, as I say in all my videos, please keep this in mind because people always freak out and they're like, well, that's trash damage because you didn't have all this stuff going. It's like, okay, fine. But like, I'm just trying to do this in a testing environment. It's the PTR. These numbers are going to change, right? Here's the build that I'm kind of looking at. You've got Ice Fury with Flux Melting, so your Lava Bursts are doing more damage after every cast of your Frost Shock. Really, this is mostly here to generate Maelstrom, and your Frost Shocks are going to generate a lot of extra Maelstrom. It's better than casting Lightning Bolt because it generates 14 Maelstrom per Frost Shock, and your Lightning Bolt will only generate 10 Maelstrom. So this is actually just more Maelstrom generation if you get the Ice Fury off, and then Ice Fury gives you 25, so it's way better than a Lightning Bolt, and then Frost Shock's giving you 14. So it's just better Maelstrom generation, and the damage is okay. Certainly Lightning Bolt does good damage, 18,000. Your Frost Shock's going to end up doing 225% of the base, which is going to be more than your Lightning Bolt again. What, right? Let's look at that for a second. 12,000 times 225%. That's 27,000 damage that I'm going to do with my Frost Shocks. That's much more than my Lightning Bolt, okay? Now, the Frost Shocks themselves, I don't believe they can overload, right? Only Ice Fury, Lightning Bolt, Lava Burst, and Chain Lightning can overload. So you're missing the overload portion of that, but it's a lot of damage, a lot of Maelstrom Rapid Generation. You have Primordial Wave. We have Rolling Magma to cool it down. We're taking Splintered Elements, and then we have Further Beyond with the Ascendance cast itself, which is now a 2-minute cooldown, and we're going to extend the buff to be about 37 seconds. So it's kind of like a 1.5-minute cooldown, 1 in 20 almost, if you feel it that way. Aftershock is key to this build because the more you're casting your spenders, if you get a refund on Earthshock, you're extending Ascendance even more, right? You're getting that full extension. So let me just show you this really quickly, and I'll get my turnip out as we always do, and I'll just show you what this kind of looks like. Again, please remember, testing. This is a PTR environment. We will pop Heroism just for fun. I'm going to start it with a Ice Fury, and we'll go here. There we go. We go right into it. Now, our haste is crazy, right? We have 157% haste right now. And our damage is good. There, my Frost Shocks are done, so I'm just casting Lava Burst now. Oops, that was a Lightning Bolt. There we go. Messed up. Got our Primordial Wave back. There, 20% more haste. Once again from Primordial Wave. Really good. We're capped out on our Maelstrom, so we're going to spend some. I'm going to do an Ice Fury. Oops, I messed it up. There's just so many. LE Blast is back again. Or, sorry, Primordial Wave is back, which gives us an LE Blast, of course. We're getting those LE Blast buffs again. So, we're really slowed down now, but we'll get our Primordial Wave window back. We're in it actually again right now. Now we're into some Lightning Bolts. There's still value in pressing Lightning Bolt. Because we have Power of the Maelstrom. I keep pressing Frost Shock like an idiot. We have Power of the Maelstrom, which is going to give us the extra overloads on Lightning Bolt, which is very, very good. We'll get one more round of Ascendance in. And I will show you guys kind of what it looks. This is like your downtime right now. There's a lot of downtime here, which is annoying. But that's okay. There's still a Primordial Wave that we're going to cast in a second. There we go. There's an LE Blast. And then the next Primordial Wave should line up with an Ascendance. Actually, we'll probably get another Primordial Wave in. I keep casting that. I'm just messing this up so hard. It's crazy. I keep casting Frost Shock. I have to stop doing that. But anyway, you get the idea. We have Ascendance 28 seconds away. We're going to get another Primordial Wave in there before our Ascendance proc, and that's okay. Here we go. That to that to this, and then we'll hold our Frost Shock. Oh, my game's lagging out again. Give me 1 second. Okay, boys. So I gotta get. I'm running away on a trip in a second here, so I gotta get this done. But let me show you this build that does include LE Blast. I know I just talked about a build that has Earth Shock. I think you can do an Earth Shock build. And what I did here on the dummies a couple days ago, I think I did 128k. Right, is what we were looking at. Is it this one? Yeah. This was with Earth Shock. And it shows up as LE Blast there, but it's actually Earth Shock. You can do a build that includes Earth Shock. Here is an Ascendance build with Deeply Rooted and LE Blast instead. Because again, remember, we're only getting a 30. The Ascendance. The Ascendance you can extend to 37 seconds. What I've realized with Deeply Rooted is that you can only extend it 150% of the 6 seconds. Look at this. Casting Lava Burst has a chance to activate Ascendance for 6 seconds. Further beyond can only do 150% of 6 seconds, which is 9. So you can take this from a 6-second duration. And from what I've seen, I've gotten it to maybe 12 seconds. Like, I should be able to extend this by 9 seconds because 150% of 6 is 9. So 6 plus 9 would be 15. But I have not been seeing 15-second durations on Ascendance here. We're just going to have to see how it goes. Let's just try this here. We're going to go Ice Fury, Lust. And we'll do this. And do this. A little laggy. LE Blast. Lava Burst. Another LE Blast. I think LE Blast is fine. I kind of prefer the Earth Shock style. But again, I think LE Blast is perfectly fine. We're going to hope to get a proc here in a second. So we haven't had an Ascendance proc at all yet. And we're still doing 121 K DPS. Because again, we have Lust. So it's actually going to be much, much better. Get another one of these. Get another one of those. Try to cast this, then do Primordial Wave. Okay, we're getting unlucky. That's how it goes. Here we go. Hopefully we'll just get one proc and I can just show you what I'm talking about in terms of the extension. But of course it's not giving it to me because the game hates me. That's okay. Keep fishing here. Still haven't got one. There we go. Okay, we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. We got an LE Blast to extend. 8 seconds. Up to 8 seconds there. 7 seconds there. Now it's going down. So we had an initial cast of 6, and then we took it back up to 8, it looks like. So maybe it is giving us the 15, actually. I know that's only 14, but if it was like 1 other second afterwards. So I think if you're doing Ascendance, if you're doing the Deeply Rooted build, you can only get an Ascendance that goes for 15 seconds, which is fine. That'll actually do. That's perfectly fine. Now, I know the damage of that last one wasn't very good. I understand you're all going to have reservations. It wasn't super good because we weren't really getting any procs. And I don't know that this is registering Lava Burst overloads anymore. I don't know what the hell's going on with details and the PTR. It's really messed up right now. But here's a build with Ascendance proper, okay? This has got proper Ascendance. It's not going to have Lust. But I'm just going to show you really quickly here how this works. You can get 37.5 seconds on your Ascendance here, and you can do it easily with either an Elemental Blast build or an Earthshock build. It doesn't really matter what you want to do. So we'll start out with this. Go here. Then we'll go here. Boom. Proc Ascendance. Then go Ele Blast with our Primordial Wave, of course, sorry. And then Ele Blast. Ele Blast. We can do an instant Ele Blast. You can see it's up to 16 seconds. We're using all of our Frost Shocks to buff our Lava Burst. There's another Ele Blast. There's another Ele Blast right in a row. Again, we're getting the Ele Blast buffs like permanently. And it's way, way more damage, as you can see, which is great. Now, this is going to fall off. And you're not going to be able to get any procs because we don't have DRE. So, now you're stuck with a minute 20 seconds left on your Ascendance. And you're no longer going to have any procs. You don't have to be rooted. So it's going to be like a bit of a drought. You're going to run into this sort of drought moment here where you are doing less damage and your damage is going to start to fall down. You can see we were doing 160k. We're down to 140k now. The question is going to be like, over the course of a long fight, is it going to be better to have the deeply rooted proccing, or is it going to be better to just have this really solid 2-minute window on Ascendance where you get that big damage burst, and then you have the sort of this valley that you sink into afterwards. Because, again, you can see our damage is going down again. We're down to 123k. And we'll get this back up again. Realistically, too, you're going to have to decide on a boss fight, are we going to be able to cast Ascendance twice? That's really important, right? Can I cast Ascendance twice? And if I can, then it's probably a good idea to take it. Because getting 2 Ascendance windows is really crazy. Like, that's going to be very strong. And I think it's going to be worth taking it for sure. Now, we're about 15 seconds away from our Ascendance proc again. We're going to try and bank up some Maelstrom here. And I'm going to also hold my Primordial Wave. And then we're going to go straight into our Ascendance window here. I'm going to do Oh, I don't know why I did. I'm such an idiot. I Primordial Waved to get my Flame Shock on. Doesn't matter. We're extending. Here we go. We got lots of Maelstrom to extend. Had a couple procs on that there. Here we go. We're going to do an instant cast. Ele Blast, you can see we're at 13 seconds. You're never in danger of dropping your Ascendance. You're never going to drop it, which is very cool. I like that a lot. It really feels solid. Again, we're going to extend this as long as we can, but it's going to have a point where it falls off, and there's nothing we can do about that. It's falling off right now. My Ele Blasts are not extending it, so there you go. That's going to be the end right there. So again, you go way up in damage, then you dip down in between, then you go back up again with your Ascendance damage that's coming out again. I don't think it should not be putting Lava Burst and Lava Burst Overload into just Lava Burst. Like, I don't know why it's doing this. I even have the option selected where it's like combine group spells together with the same name. It's not showing my Lava Burst Overload, which obviously doesn't have the same name as Lava Burst, but it's the same spell. I don't really know what's going on there. It might not be showing up properly in the PTR. The thing you need to think about is not necessarily the damage, but does it work? Does it feel good? Yes. Further Beyond still works with Ascendance properly. It also works with Deeply Rooted. You can get about a 15-second Deeply Rooted Ascendance proc, or you can have a 37.5-second Ascendance window on a 2-minute cooldown. It's going to be up to you to figure out, is the fight long enough that it supports me casting Ascendance twice, on my own? If it does, that's probably worth taking. But this might also just be a better choice. It depends how many procs you get. It depends how much haste you have, how often you can press Lava Burst, how many mechanics are interrupting you. If you pop Ascendance on a fight, and then there's a mechanic that interrupts you in the middle of your Ascendance window, that's going to screw you over as well. So there are benefits to both, and there are, like, detractors for both. It just depends kind of what the fight is going to offer you. I think this is a solid raid build. You can also get rid of Ele Blast and just take Equilibrium, and Earthshock is also fine. It's really up to you and what you want to do. Ele Blast, I think, is probably better compared to Earthshock, but it's going to be about whether you can stand still and cast it, or if you're going to have to use things like Spirit Walker's Grace plus your instant cast from Nature's Witness. So Let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. I would love to hear from you. Sorry for kind of the messy back and forth stuff. The PTR has been really awful for me, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.